It's got to rain. Door stands wide open. Just call his name. Don't let me wait. Because come on, follow me. Don't let it be said to you. Every time you're feeling in the air. All right, good evening. I certainly hope and pray that all is well. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Okay, I'm going to share something with you guys that I hadn't planned on sharing, but I'm going to. Um, First of all, let me say this, right? So I bought this beautiful, beautiful, big ass candle from Walmart, right? It's a white candle. Sometimes I like to burn white candles. Okay, I'm gonna show it to you. I'm gonna show it to you. White candle meaning it symbolizes purity, peace, spirituality, and new beginnings. It is commonly used for cleansing, healing, and protection rituals, as well as for spiritual growth and illumination. White candles can also represent a black canvas for any kind of intention or spell, and are sometimes used to substitute for other colors. Okay, I'm not going to read all that. It's a universal color. It's a neutral color. Can be used for any purpose. Substitute for whatever. I just read it. Now, I burn white candles because I like it. Okay, no particular reason. Now, I saw this big, beautiful, huge fucking candle at the Walmart. I've never gotten one this big before, but I got it one day was it last week? It might have been the week before last, but I started burning it last week, and it was burning beautifully until a heifer on here got mad because I clapped back on her ass. Okay. Drunk fool and horrors no tuitive. As soon as I did that video about her, it started burning like this. Now look. Isn't that pretty? That big candle. It's so beautiful. Okay. It was burning just as clear and just as pretty. I said, look at this bitch. Mad. That's what I'm saying. You slander me. You talk about me. You defame me. You copy off of me. That's another thing she copied off of. I used to do these shorts. I got all my shit up here. I never took anything down. Except the reading I did this morning. I made it unlisted. But other than that, never took anything down. I was doing these one card draws. Then she was doing them. And it looks so stupid. I was doing all this pretty artwork or whatever that I would get off the studio. What's that studio? What is it called? It might not be on this phone I'm holding. Maybe on the one I'm looking into. I can't even remember the name of the goddamn app. Power Director. And then here she come doing it. It was so corny, ugly. I said, oh my God, this girl is just going to copy off me till she can't copy off me no more. But anyway, so I called it out. So this is what I get. But I don't give a fuck. Okay, moving the fuck on. All right, tried some shit last night. I'm on my way to get some food. Here she go. Bitch, gone somewhere. Go home under the rock you crawled from up under. Bilal's pet. Had to be a human. Okay, but anyway. Um, I want to share something that happened with you guys, right? Okay, so last night, you know how they tell you, like, if you wake up, like when you first wake up, don't get on your phone right away. Or like when you maybe wake up in the middle of the night, don't get on your phone. Okay, whatever. You know, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So last night I woke up. I don't even know what time it was. It might have been 12:30, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And I picked up my phone, looked at my YouTube, and there was a content creator on doing a live because she's a spiritualist. She doesn't really read tarot, okay? And I'm not gonna say who she is. I've shared with her the experience that I had. All right, but I'm not gonna, cause see, there's too many nosy motherfuckers, too many people. We got to keep the narrative going. Go to her and tell her how evil she is. Kenyatta is all that bullshit. Okay, so I'm not gonna say who it is. I've already shared the experience with her, right? So I was looking at it, was alive in the title. I was like, oh yeah. I want to hear this. I don't know what made me think. I clicked it to play thinking that, you know, I was going to stay up. I probably, as soon as I clicked to play, went to sleep. But I had an interesting experience when I went to sleep. So, for those of you who watch me regularly, I shared with you about my grandfather. I'm going to show you his picture. Huzzah. Okay. I just asked for his permission to share his picture. He said, of course. It's all torn up. Okay, so maybe I can get it redone. But this is my grandfather. Ain't he handsome? This picture was 1955. Okay. When I said, like, in the house that I used to live in, which, by the way, hit me. This is my grandparents' house. Him being the grandparent I'm talking about. When you walked in, I had his picture up, his wife's picture up, my grandmother, which is my father's stepmother, my father's great grandparents' picture up, which was black and white. Now this is, I guess, what you would call that sepia tone, but their pictures were like straight black and white. And the lady who raised me, thinking that she was my mother, her parents' picture up. It was so freaking beautiful. And what's so beautiful about the house is, again, they never painted over the woodwork. All that original woodwork from a house, well, it's over 100 years old now. It's still there. Who knows what it looked like now, okay? But it was just fucking beautiful. As soon as you walked in, that's the first thing that you saw, okay, on the mantelpiece up top, okay? But anyway, this is the grandfather that I was telling you about that a lot of people would say that they would see. And it's so funny. I'm looking at his picture now, and I just looked at myself. I was like, you do kind of look like him, because his daughter, my aunt, my dad's sister, we used to go out to breakfast. Okay. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I know when Brianna Bellamy came, I know, bitch, y'all took her by that house. You fucking motherfuckers. And these are the people that, on that lady's side, that lady who raised me, her side. Well, y'all ain't got nothing to do with my father's side of the family. I know you motherfuckers took her by the house. Let me show you where she used to live. Show me the house. Show me the house. Assholes. Probably lied to try to get in there to see what it looked like. See how people just don't have boundaries? Just none. No respect, no boundaries, nothing. Straight assholes. But even if you didn't get in that motherfucking house, I know you took her fucking retard, weakling, ugly ass by there. Ain't got nothing to do with your motherfucking asses. You sick freaks. But anyway, so This is one that I was selling. Oh, the reason I was saying that, I'm looking at his picture and it looked like, oh, he kind of looked like him, is because my aunt, one time we were out for breakfast, we were having a good time, talking and laughing. This is the one who, when I said something is wrong with this woman, when I thought she was my mother, she's like going crazy. She was like, mm-hmm. But anyway, so we were talking and laughing. She said, oh my God, you look just like Daddy. And I was like, me? For real? She was like, she said, it's the face that you made that he used to make all the time and you look just like him. But anyway, so this is one that everyone saw in the house except for me. That everybody was scared of, okay? There he is. It just like feels so good to be to love your people, you know, your ancestors and everything, to love your people. But anyway, his name was Marcellus. My sibling, his first son, was named after him. Okay, spelling is a little different. I think they took off one L or something like that, or I don't know. Instead of Marcellus, I think they made it Marcellus, or what the fuck ever. Okay, Marcellus Lewis. When he transitioned, I remember I was in the 5th grade, so we were at the house, you know, eating, getting ready to go to the funeral. A man walked in the back door of the kitchen where we were eating and said hello. It was his brother. Now, I'm in the 5th grade. I was in the 5th grade at the time, so my mouth dropped. I was like, it can't be him. I was so excited. I was hoping he was in. His brother looked, I'm sure maybe I had seen him before or whatever, but again, you know, not often, because he didn't live here in Cleveland, in Ohio. He looked just like him. Oh my God, they look like twins practically. I think that was his older brother. But anyway, so this is the one that a lot of people will see in the house. So one day last week, I talked to him sometimes, and one day last week, he crossed my mind. And I asked him, I said, are you still at the house? He said, no. I said, you left the house? He said, yeah, I left the house, okay? Now, it was like before, when I lived there, and people was scared out their fucking minds, seeing them and hearing them all over the house, okay? I said to him one time, I said, you know, please, you can't stick scared of people, my friends or whatever. But as you all who've been watching me talk on my channel, these motherfuckers weren't my friends, okay? And he probably knew exactly what was up. All right. But anyway, he had this like really cool demeanor, okay? The way he carried himself. He was something else, but again, I was his granddaughter, okay? And he died when I was in the 5th grade. So, you know, I just would hear things. Okay, so what I can remember about him, he was very quiet. He read a lot, deep reader, heavy reader, so on and so forth. Okay, my dad told me, like, in my adult life, that he was a Rosicrucian. Okay, but I don't know. That's what my dad told me. Okay, Bree, I told you read about a lot of Masons. Duh. But any fucking way, Brown Giovanni, that's you. But anyway, so I was talking to me. He said he wasn't at the house anymore, and I asked him. I said, you know, well, why not? I said, it's because of the people there. He was like, yeah, you know, it ain't my people, okay? Because again, I told y'all what happened with the house with the sibling. I should show that fucking letter, because I was looking at it the other day. That fake fraudulent letter from that law office, which was a real law office. I said I should show that online. And I just fucking might. Okay? And then call the people. Bring up here's go to docket number. And have her say out loud online, like she said to me, no such thing, that number doesn't exist. You fucking frauds. Okay. Let me hone it in here, okay? But anyway, so he was like, they're not my people, okay? So it was his home, it was his house. So he left, and I said, well, where are you? If you're not there anymore, where are you? And come to find out, he was like, I'm with you. I was like, oh my gosh, you know, so he came with me. This was what conversation I had with him last week, okay? Now, if you don't believe in talking to the dead and whatnot, okay, well, whatever, bye, I don't care, okay? Or if you don't think I can, who cares, okay? There are plenty of people with plenty of testimonies who I've done mediumship for. despite Breonna Jewel Bellamy and the rest of the liars saying she a fraud, and all that kind of other dumb shit. Okay, so um, which is so interesting because it did cross my mind. I think yesterday there was a girl when I first went public with my readings, long before I met that fucktard Breonna Jewel Bellamy. A girl from Facebook. I worked with her. She needed a medium, and I worked with her. We worked together for a month. She was putting a business together, but she needed her. I think it was it her great aunt, her input, and I believe they were Native American, and we would meet once a month. We had a really wonderful time, and I was thinking about it, I was like, man, I wonder how everything ended up for her. But anyway, because she lived like on the western part of the states. Okay, but anyway, let's get to this. All right, so I said, what I told my aunt about the experiences people would have in the house seeing him. Okay, and then to my aunts, her and her sister. Explained this was a long time ago because we used to meet like once a year in the summer. We would all go out to eat together. Three of us would go out to eat, and I was telling them the situation. And I told them about how the one quote unquote cousin, who's not a cousin but nevertheless, who I gave her a place to stay for about a month and a half or 2 months and a half or something like that, and then she backstabbed me too. But anyway, this is that lady who raised me, her people. But anyway, she talked about how she saw him in the house and how she thought one day she asked me. She said, were you okay last night? And I said, yeah, why you asked me that? She said, cause she said, didn't you come downstairs about 2 o'clock in the morning and get some water? And I was like, no, you know what I'm saying? And she said, oh my God, I saw a man. She said, but you see how I wear my hair. She said, I saw a man. She said, but the back of his head looked just like yours. Okay. She said, Nikki, I saw him. He went in the kitchen. I heard him turn on the water. It's like he got a glass of water, drank it, and then then he went in the basement. And I was like, I think that's my grandfather that you saw, because that's who everybody's seeing in here. And I told my aunts that girl's experience, and they said, oh my God, he did that every night when he was alive. He would come from upstairs, go to the kitchen, give him a glass of water at 2 o'clock in the morning every night. I was like, well, there you have it. Okay. But anyway, so I looked up why some souls stay on earth. Well, they wanted to come to the house. They never did it. They were like, well, they said they was kind of scared. I'm like, why? Why would you be scared? That's your father. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, they wanted to come to the house and see if they felt his presence or anything like that. I personally never saw him, never felt his presence or anything, okay, until when I decided to run for my life and leave the house. Okay, we were packing up and everything, and I walked into the little foyer area, and I smelled him because he was a smoker. How them old men used to smell who smoked. Okay, I love that smell, and I smelled his whole everything all in that foyer. I was like, oh wow, I was like, he probably doesn't want me to leave. Okay, but he also saw the bullshit that was going on around the house. But anyway, and they were talking about my aunts were talking about why he probably stayed. Okay, and I told him, I said, well, I remember him saying to me, this is my house, this is my home, and I'm not leaving. Okay, but nevertheless, some souls may stay on earth after death due to unfinished business. Hold that. Okay, and you're thinking, okay, strong attachment to people, places, strong attachment to this is my home. Like you said, this is my home and I'm not leaving. A lack of understanding that they have died. That's what they were thinking. My aunts, I remember something along those lines, and thinking that maybe he had not realized he died, or that his soul was in at rest. I can't remember exactly what they were saying, but something along those lines. Or fear of what comes next. Okay, different beliefs offer varied explanations, including being unable to move on because of unresolved issues. Hold that. Attachment to material possessions, or with my house. Okay, or confusion following a sudden death. Okay. Souls may remain. Now I'm going to go ahead and read it. Spiritual and religious beliefs, unfinished business. Souls may remain because of a powerful connection to a living person or an unresolved situation like love, revenge, or responsibility. Attachment to a place, a strong emotional bond to a home. So we said, this is my house. Because when I was little, they had two houses, that being one, and there was another one. And I do remember the other house. I just don't remember what it was, but that house caught fire. Okay, but anyway, or land can cause a spirit to linger, sometimes described as a feeling of, is here it is, in quotes, this is my home. And that's exactly what he said to me one time. This is my home. Okay. But then here goes some strangers in the fucking home, thanks to the lady who raised me, her fucking family, and my sibling, which would not have been the case if they wasn't so busy trying to bury me and put me. See these how motherfuckers, you all have no respect. But you want to change your name to an African name and call yourself black cultural, blah, 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 bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. You know you don't. You don't have no respect. You don't have no love for it. You could care less. All you want is that money. I don't care if you fucking needed the money. That's all you fucking care about. But what's that scripture? What God? I'm gonna find it. Which is so interesting. What I'm looking at right here. Genesis 15:20. What the devil meant for evil, God turned to good. Or what Satan meant for evil, God meant for good. And why do I say that's so interesting? Because it is the biblical reference to the story of Joseph, which I read the story of Joseph on here a few years back in my religious study series. It's still there. Okay, so what you motherfuckers meant for evil, trying to kill me, okay, get rid of me, and all of that kind of stuff, good turn. Well, a lot of good turned out of it. A whole fucking lot. Okay, I know that's not what y'all intended. Okay, you're good for your motherfucking asses. Okay, but anyway, um, attachment to a place. Here's another belief. Oh, I said that already. Confusion. A sudden or expected death can leave a soul disoriented, causing it to remain on earth without realizing it has passed away. I don't think that was the situation here. Fear of judgment. Some beliefs suggest that fear of what lies after death, such as a judgment or hell, can cause a soul to remain on earth out of fear. I don't think that was a situation, because it clearly said to me, this is my home. Okay. Lack of proper rites. Some traditions hold that incomplete or improper funeral rites can prevent a soul from moving on to the next stage. Okay. And I believe I kind of went over that a little bit when I did my religious study series. Okay. When we talked about the indigenous cultures. Okay. Other spiritual perspective, which we don't have a lot of that in this culture, unfortunately. Okay. Rites of passage and spiritual rites and all of that kind of thing. All right. I think maybe we used to, but not so much anymore. Okay. Other spiritual perspectives. Spirits can return. Okay, some beliefs suggest that even after crossing over, spirits can return to visit or watch over loved ones, obviously. Energy and attachment. Some spiritual perspectives describe the soul as a form of energy that can be influenced by strong emotions. This attachment can keep it tied to the physical world, especially when emotions like grief or addiction were prevalent in life. Soul age. One perspective suggests that younger souls may linger more often as they are still learning the basics of the human experience. Okay. This was not obviously a younger person. All right. So last night, like I said, I wake up. I'm thinking maybe it was about like 12:30 or 1 o'clock, something like that, a.m. Picked up my phone, looked at my YouTube. There's this woman, the spiritualist one here, doing a live. Again, the title of the live, okay, didn't have nothing to do with this, what I just read, but it was something that was of interest to me, and I was like, oh yeah. I'm about to listen to this. But as soon as I clicked it to listen to it, and I was out. Okay, I listened to it this morning, okay, which didn't have anything to do with this. But what happened was, and I don't know at what point, okay, this could have been after she was done with the live, it could have been during the time that she was doing the live, and it's not a fucking tarot reader, okay? Not none of you, all right? Damn sure not no Breonna Bellamy, but she tried to act like it was her, some dumb shit. But anyway, and not anyone I've ever talked to. Okay, so I saw her, this lady, that is a content creator. I had a dream. I saw her in the dream, and there was another woman with her, but I think she was more of an assistant to her. I saw my grandfather here. It was like everything in the background was like white. Okay, I remember a little green, like maybe like a lime green type color, but not that much. Um, I can't tell if it was nature or whatever. I was clear that I was there, but I was observing. Okay, so and I saw the woman. I saw her from behind. My grandfather was here, and my grandmother, who he was married to, was over on this side. Okay, and they both looked a little younger, okay, than how they looked, when they transitioned. He transitioned when I was in the fifth grade, so what is that, like 8? And I was a year ahead, so maybe I was like 8 years old or something like that, and or 9, I don't know. And my grandmother, she transitioned when I was, how old was I? 30, about 34 or 35. So you see how many years she lived, okay, without him or whatever. So I don't know if when my grandfather died, it was unexpected for me. But again, I was in the fifth grade. Back then, kids didn't know adult business. Okay, so I don't know if he was already sick, if he wasn't well. I don't know. I remember something along the lines. Something happened. My grandmother's mother, she would visit from Alabama. And I think my grandfather had a real strong love for her. And I remember when she left, I think this what it was after she left, they were like his health just started to decline like really fast. Okay, with some kind of connection there. Okay, I believe that was what occurred, if I remember correctly. I'm not saying that he wasn't already sickly though. Okay, I do remember one day my grandfather um, was very. I want to say I was close to my grandfather, but not on a level. I mean, I was a child. So it's like when we would go over there, I was always sitting on my grandfather's lap. I was always up under my grandfather. Okay, and the way they talked, I remember that he was very protective of me. Well, I was trying to piece together the things of my life, concerning my life, when I found out, through this lady and my mother. And it's a lot more to it than just the fact that she's not your birth mother. Okay, so I went to a spiritualist one time that's local, and she gave me a reading, and she said it's like your of course they knew the fuck that woman wasn't your mother. Okay, she said, but it was like your grandfather. He took you, like, up under him to protect you, but because to make sure that you felt loved, because it's like I could understand that given the situation, like to make sure that you felt loved and to know, so that you would know that you were loved. Here in a situation where you are the child of uh, whomever, okay, some outside person, a person of another race at that, okay, you could have easily been, thrashed to the side, which kind of did feel like that, okay, but I did not feel that with him, okay, but then unfortunately he transitioned when I was in the fifth grade. And I remember one day, his health was on the decline, but I remember one day he was at the house, we were over there at my grandparents' house, and he got up to leave, and it seemed like something upset him, but again, kid, observing. Seemed like something in my mind had upset him, so he got up to leave. And I said, well, can I go with you? And he said, no, baby, you can't come with me. And I begged and pleaded for him to let me go with him. And he said, no, you can't go. And I remember when he walked out the door, I got to the door and I looked outside and I said, I'm never going to see him again. Well, of course, I saw him again, but it wasn't long after that he died. Okay, so it's like, my spirit knew that he was about to transition on. And, so anyway, back to the dream. So I saw my grandmother, okay, she was thin. Hold on for a second, my stuff fell. Okay, younger. My grandfather looked younger. He looked healthier. Okay, he looked a lot healthier. But he looked much younger. My grandfather was, you can see, just looking at his face, you can see that he was probably a thin man. He was very, very thin, okay? But so, he looked a lot, because he drank, he smoked, you know what I'm saying? So his eyes weren't like white, and clear, from what I remember. And his skin looked a little, didn't look super smooth or whatever, but he looked like really clean and his eyes looked clear. It's just like his aura was really vibrant, okay, and bright. And the lady who I'm talking about that's on here, she had on white. Um, and my grandmother, she looked thinner and younger. Her hair was so pretty, it was curly and everything. And I saw her looking at him, smiling, and she had on white. But my grandfather, she had like on a white like suit dress type thing, but my grandfather had on a black suit. Okay, and he was smiling. They were looking at each other, smiling. Okay, like happy to see each other. And now I'll show you a picture, well, of my. Here, let me show you. Let me show you. Hold on. Now, the grandmother that I'm talking about, I've shown this picture before. Her name was Olivia. This was my father's stepmother. But this is the grandmother that I saw in the dream. This was the second wife. Now, this is my grandfather here that I'm talking about. This was his first wife. This is my father's biological mother, okay? Um, she married someone. Ain't they sharp? Look at them. I show this. I got these pictures. Well, I got this picture from her mother, my great grandmother. Okay. Let me show you her picture. Hold on. Okay. This is her mother. Okay, Minnie Rain. Okay. And this was her husband. Okay, the bishop that I talked about, my great grandfather. So these two that I just showed, my great grandparents, my father's grandparents, were her mother. Okay, and that was their only child. All right. Now, this was my great grandfather's second wife, Minnie Reen. His first wife, and he had a son who grew to become an adult, but they died. Okay, I think, was it a fire? I can't remember. I think a fire or something like that. But they died, and then I don't know how many years later or whatever. But then he married my great grandmother, my big mommy, which was her mother. Okay, so he was the one that was one of the founders in Church of God in Christ. Okay, very strict, from what I understand, very very strict household. Okay, that she grew up in. So they got married when she was like. That's what I remember people telling me, when she was like 16. Okay, so they was kids. You understand what I'm saying? But it was like, the story is she was trying to get out the house. You understand what I'm saying? Because her father was so strict. Okay, wouldn't let her do nothing, wouldn't let her go nowhere, that type of thing. Okay, and my grandfather, my father's father, who I'm telling you all about, what she say? I think she told me one time, she was like, he was a jackleg preacher. You know what I'm saying? Now I never knew him to be a preacher, so that didn't, that was in their younger years or whatever. And my father is the one that is the oldest of this. Together they had 5 children, and then he married the lady I just showed you, the lighter skinned lady, and she married someone else, and she had 5 more children. All right. But anyway, now my father is the oldest. There was one before that, but that baby died. And then like I said, my father, he almost died when he was a baby, but they were able to get him to the hospital in time, and he made it. All right. So anyway, let me tell you what the sister did. Okay. So I saw her talking to my and the two of them, they were looking at each other, smiling, but it was almost like there was a door. I remember seeing like a glass door. Okay. I can't really describe where it was or how it was. Wait a minute. It could be a reflection, a window. Look, I ain't asked AI for that information. But there was a glass door, see-through door, okay, at some point. But so I saw the sister that's on here from behind, and she was talking to first they were smiling at each other, and then it's like she took him by the hand or whatever, and she was talking to him. And my grandmother was standing there waiting, and I was watching. Okay, I wasn't like observing like from an outsider looking, I was there. Okay. And the assistant, she was somewhere. Okay. I just remember she was, and I'm saying this was this woman's assistant. I don't know. But the conversation that they were having, my grandfather was telling the spiritualist exactly what happened to him concerning his death. I know that he died in the hospital. Okay. He was telling her exactly what happened concerning his death. And then when they got done talking, and he was so, I mean, he was really happy. He was smiling and everything. When she got done, she told my grandmother, okay, what he shared with her, okay, and she was so happy. And then, after she told her, it's like she stepped back and they came together and they were gone. Like, wow, wow, right? So I did share this with the spiritualist that has a channel on here, um, about the dream and what happened. And she said, oh, wow, gratitude. And I said, yeah, it's like, thank you. So after that, it hit me. It's like, wait a minute, Nikki, he's gone. She helped him to move out of this realm. So I called out to him. I said, are you still here? He said, no. Okay. No. Okay. He said, I'm on my way home. Ooh, honey, hush. Now, I don't know this sister, okay, that I'm telling you about. I don't know anything about, what title she gives herself or anything like that. So I looked up people assisting souls, to move from the earthly realm. People who got souls from the earthly realm are called, now this is, I'm looking at AI here, psychopomps. And they appear in many different forms, such as mythological figures, spiritual guides, and even modern day soul midwives. Now, I don't know if she would call herself any of this. I'm just telling you what she did. Okay, they can be personifications of death, like the Grim Reaper, deities like Sharon, the ferryman. Okay, I don't know who that is, or Archangel Michael, or ancestral spirits and shamans. Okay, this is according to Wikipedia, etc., etc. Some spiritual practitioners also help souls move on by facilitating their transition or helping confused spirits find their way. Okay, so I feel like that's exactly what she did. Okay, she helped him. It was like it goes back to this thing here about why some souls stay. The Sure, this is my home and I'm not leaving, but there was some unfinished business. Okay, there was an unresolved situation, and whatever, I don't know. Like I said, I was in the fifth grade. I don't know. I never asked. I just, my grandfather was sick and he died. So I don't know if something may have happened in the hospital, maybe some kind of complication or whatever. I don't know any of that. But what I do know, okay, because it was like, and the look on their faces when he went to her, he grabbed her hand, my grandmother grabbed her hand, and they went off, okay, and they walked away. There was this look of resolution and completeness, on both of their faces, like it was resolved, it has been resolved, and, whatever the issue was. But it was something that was, I don't know, though. And I told her, whatever was divulged to her, whatever he said to her, it was not divulged to me. And I didn't try to get in the business either, because she was the one that was brought in, or her higher self or whatever, like an, angel or whatever, and came in, okay, to resolve the situation of him still being here. I don't know her. I have never talked to her. Okay, I've watched a few of her videos. I'm not even subscribed to her, but I watch her videos sometimes. Okay, no reason that I'm not subscribed. I don't dislike her and like that. I like her stuff. Okay, I've been familiar with her for a few years, but I've only started watching more so, I don't know, this within the last few months. I don't know. I've commented, which I don't really comment on people's. Okay. Too many strange folk, and folk that want to follow me and stalk me all over the fucking earth. Okay, and if it's in the spiritual community, goddamn, I know that Brianna Jewel Bellman. She know everybody on here, okay, and some of these other folks too. But damn sure her to stalk and see what I got to say, who I'm saying it to, and why, and all of that kind of shit. So I really don't even comment, on people's stuff. But one of her videos I had to comment on. Okay, fuck that bitch. Okay, so I commented, and this one, it was like, oh wait, wow, wait a minute, I tell her this. So I just wanted to share that. I was just so happy, to realize that what that there was something that was holding him here besides just this is my home, because he was like, I did my house, I'm gonna say it is my home. But then come to find out, like I said last week, he crossed my mind and I was talking to me, he was like, I left, you know because I don't know those people who are in the house. Who knows what they did to the house? Shit. Who the fuck knows? I've passed the house a few times, when I'm in the area. Sometimes I'm like, let me go look at the house. And it's not run down or anything like that. It's just the spirit of it. I could just look at like the spirit of it. It's like it's just any old house now. Just any old house. Because it wasn't a hood, but it was a nice house. I mean, like a lot of people would come work on the house and be like, this is a nice house. You know what I'm saying? Because so many of the houses in the area, they're falling apart. You know how it is in the hood and whatnot, falling apart and everything. So the spirit of it is just like it's just gone, just flat. Okay. And if you watching, any of y'all watching, that lady who raised me, your son, okay, I guess it's your son, okay, the sibling, and the rest of y'all who want to act a goddamn fool, it's your motherfucking fault. But y'all, that's what y'all wanted to see. But you thought that I was going to be run down. No. And what y'all did, thank you for what you did, because my grandfather was able to move on. And so he was content, but then was, okay, I got to get away from these motherfuckers. I'm not going to stay here. Let me go with my granddaughter. That's what he did. Let me go with my granddaughter. Okay? And then, but you're still here. You're not in the house. Yes, because there's an unresolved issue. And this lady, the angel that she is, or whatever spiritualist that she is, came through, okay, and he told her, okay, what the issue was that had not been resolved. And I guess it was like my grandmother needed to know, because once he told her, then she told my grandmother. I watched her walk over and tell her exactly, and they both just smiled, and both of them was just like bright and light like the sun and shit, and they held hands, smiling and just so happy with one another, and moved on. All right, so I just wanted to share that with you all. That's it. Okay, that's it. So what Satan meant for evil, God meant for good. Now my grandfather, he can go, and he told me I'm on my way home. On my way home. After all these years, like I said, I was in the 5th grade. So what was that like? Like I said, at 8 years old, here I am, 53. Okay. He was content in the house, okay, but then people acted a goddamn fool. People who act like they care about things. People who act like they care about our people, but they don't. They care about money and the trouble that they get themselves into, and want to hurt other people and steal their money and kill them and all of that kind of stuff, cover it up and so on and so forth. You ought to be ashamed, okay? And grandchild or not, I was like, well, he's probably kicking this person's ass, okay? And I just heard I was. That's what the fuck you get, okay? And I don't care who likes it and what you think about it. People, it's so interesting to me how people can cause so much disruption in the lives of others. They can cause so much. They can do all kind of heinous crimes and cause disruption and plot and plan and organize to hurt others and do all of these evil, really unconscionable evil things to others. But you want to tell the person that they've done it to, who truly is a victim, how wrong they are for their true, honest, human feelings about what has been done to them. Well, you shouldn't want this and you shouldn't feel that way. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. That some power and principality done told you to say that shit. It's not based on anything. You try to reason it and act like it is, but it's not. Because you want to sound like the quote unquote bigger, but that don't have nothing to do with being the bigger person. The bigger person. You whoop the person who it has been done to because of how they truly feel, and they're afraid to express. You got them afraid to express what they're truly feeling, what they truly think. Get the fuck out of here. It's bullshit. Hold on. It is that new agey. If it's even that, I don't know what that shit is. So that you don't take appropriate action, not action to hurt and harm someone as it has been done to you, but so that you just say some fake ass words of it all right, I forgive them, and all of that kind of fake stuff, and they burying it and suppressing it because if I express how I truly feel, then I'm wrong. No, no, no. And the sad thing is, the people that are saying that to you are people who have bought into these lies that have been thrown at you, and they've been thrown at you in society. So you do not take appropriate, the necessary action that needs to be taken for restitution. The Lord will fix it. No, the Lord ain't gonna fix it. You fix it. The Lord has given you everything that you need to fix it. If people did not express, okay, their disappointment or distrust or anger or so on properly channeled, so on and so forth, we would not have the changes in our societies that we have on a large scale. Okay? All right. I was just looking up yeah. Well, maybe I will go over this another time. Penalties. I'm just reading a portion of what I wanted to look up. That should be fair and proportionate to what has been done. But with that attitude and that spirit that people want to shove down people's throats and then try to make them feel bad, well, then you wrong for this and you wrong for that. Really? So someone has done something so outrageous and heinous to destroy you and disrupt your whole entire world and destroy your fucking life, and you wanting to see fair justice. What they put out there for you is exactly what should be. It's set in return to that person, and they're wrong. A person wanting that is wrong. Hmm. But you ain't said shit about what the motherfucker did. But I mean, they were wrong too. Come on, wake up, wake up. All right, but anyway, that's it. Okay, a fair and appropriate, so that uh, appropriate action can be taken, as opposed to just no action taken, and they just keep on going around doing it to whomever they want to do it to, or to you, even worse, even more worse than what they've already done. Okay. I want to say, I'm not saying somewhere go get a gun and shoot them and all of that kind of stuff and then alive them and their whole family. No, I'm not saying that. But that so that enough you can feel what it is that you feel, and you should be allowed to feel what it is that you feel. But at the same time, after you have dealt with it, the initial aspect of it, it should be channeled appropriately. Someone should help you, because all that does is just causes further resentment in that person. Then they should be guided so that the feeling that they feel of the hurt and the pain, and they need to go through it too, etc., etc. Okay, let's channel this appropriately, so that you don't go out there and do something that is going to be hurtful to you in your home, in your family, and to others. I don't know, the law, get the law involved, whatever the fuck. Uh-uh. You wrong for wanting to feed that way you shoot it. Oh, whatever, honey. Okay. But anyway, I just want to say to the sister, if you watch this video, I'm not going to even put at to you. Like I said, I communicated with her, the spiritualist who did that work. I'm so thankful and grateful. Again, I don't know. I've never talked to her. Never talked to her. Just watched her videos here and there. Okay. But for whatever reason, she was led to assist my family. And she did. Not with your fucking bullshit and your fucking lies to try to destroy me and mine and my blood, her bloodline. weirdo. Okay. So anyway, so to that sister and to the sister that came with her to assist her, uh, I'm so grateful and thankful to you. Thank you. My most humblest of thank yous to you. See, no jealousy. I'm been spiritualist. No. Because if it was for me to do it, it would have been fucking done. It was for another person who is a spiritualist to do it. No competition. That's stupid. I's the only one. I's the greatest, highest one. And all that kind of silliness. No. I'm very thankful and grateful to her. She didn't have to do it. She was led to do it. And she did a remarkable job, honey. They was just as happy as can be. All right. And I am too. All right. All right. You all have favor. Peace. Grace.